If your cakes are sinking, burning, or come out uneven, it may not be your recipe, it just may be your cake tins. Hi, I'm the Cakeydoc. I teach you all things cake decorating. We are currently doing a series on equipment, and it's very useful for beginners who are navigating cake decorating and not knowing exactly what to buy. Last time we talked about all things cake boards. This time around we're going to be talking about cake tins. I will teach you the different types of cake tins, what materials they're made of, the pros and cons, so that you make a decision which one is good for you. Let's get right to it. If you've not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe so that you get more and more of this wonderful cake content. So let's talk about cake tins. So what is a cake tin? A cake tin basically is the structure that helps to shape your cake and support your cake while it is baking in the oven. And there are different types of cake tins. So there are types based on shape. So you have the round cake tins, you have the square cake tins, you have tray bakes. Well, today we're going to be concentrating on cake tins, especially the round ones, because these are what I use for most of my cakes. But also there are other cake tins like the heart-shaped cake tin, but I'll be talking more about the round cake tins. There are also different types in terms of the kind of materials that are used for them. So there's the aluminium cake tin. So you see this is aluminium. There are also the stainless steel cake tins. So this is stainless steel. There's also the non-stick cake tins. So these can be made of aluminium or stainless steel, but usually they are coated with something else that makes it non-stick. We're going to be talking about the pros and cons as well. They can also be divided in terms of how easy it is to remove the cake from the cake pan or cake tin. So for example, this is called a springform, yeah, a springform cake tin, and that's because it's very easy to remove the cake from it. You just need to click this button, well, not click, just flick this button, and that comes out and your cake tin comes out. So let's get to the pros and cons of them. So when I first started baking cakes and decorating cakes, I was actually attracted to this type because I felt like, okay, this just has a simple thing here and my cake will be able to come off very easily. So I invested in this, and very quickly I found out that this is not the right option, because this thing that makes it come off very easily, unfortunately, a lot of the spring foam tins actually leak. And I bought different types, not just this brand. There were different types of spring foams I bought, and I found out that many of them leaked, especially if your cake batter is a bit runny. Say if you're using chocolate cake, which is quite runny, you find out that it begins to leak out of this. And with time, actually, as your cake as you continue to use this spring foam cake tin, sometimes it will not even be able to close properly anymore. So some of the brands kind of expand, and then it's not able to fit in, and then you have holes in them and it begins to leak and seep. So I wouldn't be recommending this type. So next one, we are going to talk about the loose the loose bottom tins. So this is very easy to remove your cake, because all you need to do is just to push the cake from there and it comes off. So very easy to remove. It's an aluminium cake tin. The advantage of this is that it gives you an even bake, it heats up well, your cake comes out quite flat, it's very good. However, you will need to actually line up this because it's not non-stick. You have to still grease it properly with either butter or oil or a cake spray, and you maybe use parchment paper just so that it comes off easily. It would come off easily in terms of the bottom part, but you still need to line up your cake tin so that your cake sides, don't come off while you push it out. But definitely recommended. Aluminium cake tins, definitely recommended. The stainless steel cake tins. So I'll say the advantage of this is, well, it's lightweight. You can easily remove your cake from it, although you still have to line it up because it's not loose bottom. You still have to line up your cake tin, but because it's quite smooth, the cake will be able to come out very easily. But the disadvantage of this is that you get uneven heating. So it tends to heat up say on the side, so you have edges that are quite brown, and then maybe the inside is not yet done. It's, you know, it's not, I wouldn't be recommending this. You get a lot of uneven baking with this stainless steel, so I would still be recommending the aluminium cake tins. Now we get to the non-stick cake pans or cake tins. So this, they have coated the tin with a non-stick material, so it's very good. You don't actually need to like line your cake with a parchment paper. It's easy to come off, and you know, it's also, this particular one is also loose bottom, so it just makes it all very easy. The only disadvantage I have with this is, well, there are two disadvantages. One is heavyweight. It is very heavy, and that's a lot, because especially in terms of packing, because as you start gathering material and gathering equipment, you're going to be needing quite a lot of space in your kitchen. And I just like things that are lightweight. You can just stack them up on top of things, you know, but when it's heavyweight like this, it has to be at the bottom and other things on top of it, and you just need something lightweight basically. And another disadvantage is that because it's dark color, it tends to brown your cake quite a bit compared to these ones. So your cake, the cakes you bake with this one would come out browner, so that like the edges will come out browner than the cakes you bake with this one. So yeah, I still prefer to use this one. And this is from PME, so this is a PME brand. Not that, you know, they're paying me for advert, but basically this is what has worked for me, and that's why I'm recommending it. So another difference with the cake tins is that the depths of the cake tins. So you have tall cake tins, you have smaller cake tins. And these both are 5-inch cake tins, so they're both the same size but different depths. Advantage of that, well, the advantage of having a tall cake tin is that you get to bake a taller cake, so you can then cut the cake into two, and then, you know, you don't then have to need multiple cake tins in order to make a taller cake. But the disadvantage of that is that it takes longer to then bake the cake. So this of course is going to bake faster, and because it takes longer, you then tend to find out that this one browns quicker. So the edge of the cake comes out browner because it's taking longer for the inside of the cake to get done. Unlike if you baked with this one, of course it's going to bake faster, and you don't get to have a very brown cake. So yeah, so these are the different types. Of course, you have your loaf tins for your banana bread. It just comes as a loaf tin, and of course it usually has that dome. And if you're a beginner and you don't even have a cake tin, but you just want to get your hands baking, definitely you don't have to wait till you get a cake tin. You can actually use an aluminium foil. Yeah, you can bake with this. It's just that, you know, it just comes out with the shape of the cake foil, so you can't really do much in terms of decorating and stuff, but definitely you can use this, and that's it. So, and you have your heart tin. It's still aluminium as well. It takes the shape of the tin, and it's also PME. So this is all about cake tins. My personal recommendation would be the aluminium cake tin that is loose bottom, because it is lightweight. It bakes evenly. Of course, in terms of the depths, well, you decide which type of cake you want. Definitely, as a beginner, try to get two of different sizes. So two, I would recommend maybe going with a 2 6-inch cake, and maybe 2 8-inch if you just want to do a single tier as a beginner. But if you're going to be doing taller cakes, then definitely go with a 5-inch. So get 2 5-inch cake tins and 2 6-inch cake tins. I think that's where to start with. And yeah, so this is all about cake tins. Please leave me a comment below. Tell me what you've learned. Tell me which cake tins you've tried. If you've had any issues with any of the cake tins, if there's anything I've not mentioned about the cake tins, please let me know in the comment section. I would really love to hear your comments. And we are still doing this series. Next up is going to be all about cake boxes. We spend a lot of money as beginners buying different types of boxes because we want our cakes to look nice. So I want to tell you, I'm going to show you the different boxes I've tried and which ones I've decided to stick with, the pros and cons of different boxes. And yeah, so please subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a thing. We have loads of things, loads of things to talk about in this series. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello, if you're struggling with your cake, whatever, if about cake equipment, this is very useful for beginners because I found that, sorry.